Welcome back to Definitely Not Definitive. I'm Ken.
And I'm Bethany.
And we're just a fantabulous couple in love that loves reacting to Fallout. The reason I'm laughing is because, so we watched this on our Apple TV, and like when we search, I use a little voice activation thing, and I search and I say Fallout Storyteller playlist. This time it brought up Fart Storyteller playlist, and there is like a playlist with 884 videos that is like the fart playlist. It's just...
Yeah, I think there was also something called Fartopia.
Yeah, Fartopia.
So if anybody was curious and wanted to go down a YouTube rabbit hole, there is apparently quite a large one for farts.
Yeah.
The more you know.
We're just, raising the bar here.
Yeah.
Raising the bar here as far as entertainment goes.
Lassie.
So this is our Fallout Storyteller playlist, and season 4, episode 13, Right Behind You, Baby, and episode 14, Two Fists of Iron. You can get early ad-free access because we're almost done with this Storyteller playlist.
Wow.
Yeah, only a few more episodes to go. If you can't wait, you can go ahead and check it out on Patreon. There's a link down below in the description of this video. And because it's Fallout,
we have a drink, which Ken will have to demonstrate because Bucky's asleep on one of my arms. But
per usual,
this is our Stim Pack Spritzer because it has a Stim Pack.
Inject it.
Stir it up.
Yep, because that's a good idea.
Well done, but you are listening to me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Look at all this junk. I can't believe pre-war people
I should put a mask
wasted their money on mountains of useless stuff like this.
They called it consumerism. In the back when times, folk were compelled to accumulate material possessions as a way to escape the emptiness of their lives.
Nuka World souvenir cups,
True.
souvenir magnets, toy cars, teddy bears.
Pre-war America was both prosperous and terrifying. Many people suffered from a constant sense of unfulfillment. Nothing they bought could fill the void inside them, so they kept buying more and more, always hoping the next purchase would be exactly what they needed to feel complete.
Souvenir photo t-shirts. What do you suppose this thing did?
Folk would gather the family around this holo camera, get a picture of Mom, Dad, and the little tykes. Then that contraption would spit out a clean new t-shirt with the picture printed right on it. Then they could go home and show all the neighbors what a great time they had at Nuka World.
Well, gee, that's actually kind of cool. I sure would love to show everyone back in California what a great time I had here on the East Coast. What would people pay for a souvenir t-shirt?
Well, you gotta understand, by the late 21st century, inflation was out of control. So folk would have to pay $200 or $300 for something like this.
For a t-shirt?
Whoa, those prices are outrageous.
Maybe I can hack the internal clock on this machine and trick it into thinking it's the early 21st century, years before the Great War, when inflation wasn't so bad. Then it'll make us a shirt at prices adjusted for the lower rate of inflation. Let's see, how about 20 years before the Great War? The adjusted price is $31.99.
Golly, that still sounds a little high.
Yeah.
How about the value of $1 40 years before the Great War? Adjusted for inflation, that was only $26.99.
Oh, I think you can do a little better than that.
Okay, let's try 61 years before the Great War. Adjusted for the value of $1 way back then, this shirt would only cost $21.99.
Wow!
Sold.
That's an astonishingly reasonable price for a high-quality garment made of 100% ring-spun cotton.
I sense a sale coming up.
And it has a picture of my handsome mug on it, along with the phrase I say on occasion.
I suddenly understand what you meant by the endless pursuit of material possessions. It's as though this shirt completes me.
And it identifies you as a person who appreciates and supports quality storytelling.
I can finally stop my endless wanderings across the wasteland.
Want to go ride the giant teacups?
You bet.
I'm sorry, it took me this long to figure out what the hell they were doing. They were actually selling this for the channel.
Ferris wheel was invented by a man named George Washington Gale Ferris Jr.
But clever.
They built the first one for the Chicago World's Fair.
Oh, please tell me more.
You're being sarcastic.
No shit, Sherlock.
Few know this, but the original Ferris wheel was supposed to be America's answer to the Eiffel Tower, which stood in Paris, France.
I can't hear you!
Old world America prided themselves as inventors, and so was the city of Chicago that commissioned the project. Once completed, the Chicago Ferris wheel would be a marvel of pre-war engineering and steel forging. It rotated around a 70-ton axle manufactured by the steel companies in Pittsburgh, the place we call the Pit. I'm afraid if I step on, it might collapse.
Then don't step on it.
But I really wanna.
Aww. He wants to ride the Ferris wheel. He's got to get out of his armor, though.
Yeah.
To match the Ranger with big iron on her hip. Big iron on her hip.
But I guess they're kind of like Mandalorians. They just don't get out of their armor.
You're a man of hidden talents.
Yep.
You gonna sing me a ballad about Edna?
Requiem. A song for the dead is a requiem, not a ballad.
No.
I thought this place was just about Nuka-Cola. Why'd they put all this other stuff here? The Cowboy Zone, Candy Kingdom, Spaceland, the zoo.
Not relevant to the mission. We'll discuss the plan after we recon Safari Adventure. I need to verify something there before we can track the android.
So, that fish soda up in Maine, was that made by the same people that made Nuka-Cola?
Of course not. Vim was manufactured by a rival beverage company, although like most other successful soft drink companies in the 21st century, Vim was targeted by John Caleb Bradburton.
Go on.
If you want to hear his story so bad, tell one yourself.
Okay. Once upon a
Flip the
time,
table.
in a faraway land,
Flipping the
there was
script.
a kingdom
Turn on the
of
table.
candy.
Yeah.
It
Getting
was ruled by
mixed up.
King Cola from a throne of cherry, although most people called him John Caleb Bradbury.
Bradburton. John Caleb Bradburton. JC to some.
One day, King Cola's kingdom was visited by a beautiful queen named Helen. Queen Helen was on a quest to capture an evil ne'er-do-well, the cruel Lord Cyborg. The queen was accompanied by her friends, Princess Daisy, Sir Storyteller, and Lady Edna, the squire. They chased this evil man to a magical land where the rivers flowed with soda pop. But they found the kingdom had been overrun with zombies who had gotten inside it somehow.
They were probably here since before the war, the original employees of the park.
Fair point. Still, this castle looks like it's made out of cardboard and plastic.
Most likely took shelter in the utility corridors beneath the park. A hidden city where the cast members could go about the unglamorous drudge work of maintaining the park without breaking the illusion of this magical kingdom. I bet the tunnels had food, medical supplies, equipment for maintaining the park. They could survive there for centuries and never need to scavenge outside. You were saying something about a beautiful fairy tale queen?
When the queen and her attendants arrived, the villagers had all turned into monsters. So she went.
Maybe not all of them. On my way into Nuka World, I passed through the town of Bradburton, up north. Found a holotape there, near the body of a dead ghoul. Seems that at least one of them left the kingdom and tried to find a cure before going feral. I left the tape where I found it. It was meant for someone else. Someone who might still be in there. A lonely monarch of a ruined kingdom, sitting on a throne before a court of decaying subjects, hoping in vain to restore the dead to life again.
We can repair Edna and Daisy.
After we find the android.
Cyborg. He likes to be called
Daisy's on our side.
Cyborg E13. Got angry when I called him an android.
Don't care what the android wants to be called. Tell me about your queen and her knight.
The queen's entourage took a leisurely stroll around the zombie castle, only to discover another castle, which was filled with glowing blue mirelurks. Of course.
Nuka lurks. Saw a few of them in the Capital Wasteland about 10 years ago. Should have known would find them here too. They've mutated due to the strontium-90 effluvia from the Nuka-Cola plant. Lethal.
Figured it wasn't the pomegranate that made it glow.
People in the old world thought this park was Bradburton's greatest achievement, but I think old JC had the pieces of some greater plan hidden beneath it. As the end drew near, he was less interested in buying up rival soda companies and more in surviving the inevitable. I have seen hints about a private vault, even found holotapes that talk about a secret project that made quantum possible as a civilian application. All these innovations could have been intended as bartering chips so that Brad Burton could demand favors from the military.
Stop trying to talk me out of it. We both know the enemy is developing chemical and biological weapons, and that my beverageers are the top organic chemists in the world. Our countries are in a race where no one comes in second, General. So you need to ask yourself, can you really afford to stand here and say no?
Old world marketing. Almost convinced me that JC was America's kindly old uncle.
Well, Uncle JC used his clout with Robco to fill the galactic zone with their robots, customized for Nuka World. All demilitarized and safe. Heh, that thing has enough firepower to kill tipsy cinemaphiles by the thousands. Brad Burton knew what was coming, and a plan to outlast Armageddon in his own personal utopia, backed by a private army if push came to shove. And all of his wealth and influence came from selling a product that he knew was addictive and unhealthy.
Hey now, you're making him sound like a jet pusher out of New Reno.
210 years after this place capped its last bottle of soda, people are still getting hooked on Brad Burton's secret blend of fruit juices, radioactive isotopes, and toxic chemicals. If there's any justice in this wasteland, Brad Burton is in his own private hell right now. So how's your fairy tale end? The beautiful queen find the man she was chasing through the kingdom?
I'll let you finish it. The zoo's right up ahead. The cyborg in there?
Maybe, but the one thing he wants most in the world is inside there. I'm sure of that now. Those half deathclaw, half alligator creatures prove it. But that is...
Oh, just cut to the chase. Your queen demands it.
What the heck? We gotta figure out what happened to Edna.
Yeah.
I mean, they said they could rebuild her, but still, I want to know like how she died. I want to know like what Daisy did. Like, why did Daisy turn and was on Helen's side again?
And where is Daisy now?
Yeah, just a lot of like unanswered questions here. I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, we're getting into like the story of the guy like in Nuka-Cola, and I guess we're at Nuka World and whatnot, but like I want Helen's story because she started to tell the story a little bit, but like even in her story, she didn't say like how like her and Daisy like became friends again.
Yeah. So still a lot to unravel, but I did appreciate the whole idea of like setting this in a theme park and then sort of starting this as a children's story, like a once upon a time when there's like that makeshift castle in the background. So I definitely appreciated essentially like the vibe and tone of the episode. I thought they did a really nice job with that. Obviously, they are really drawing out, telling us what we're dying to know.
Yeah.
But I think I enjoyed it more, their vehicle of drawing it out and kind of starting to dive into it in this episode more than I have in like the past episode or two, where I was like, oh, I just feel like they're just killing us with not getting to it. But in this, I was like, okay, no, I kind of appreciate the way that they're doing this. Yeah. So this just drew me in a little bit more.
There's no end to these critters.
The Nuka World cloning machine is spitting them out somewhere beneath this building.
You seem sure these things are being cloned, not just a local flavor of abomination.
Aggressive, unflinching, and fighting to the death. It's not natural. Only man-made monsters fight like this. Deathclaws, Night Stalkers.
Feels like home again. Half rattler, half coyote things there. And half deathclaw, half alligator things here. Oh, more of them!
I can't hack that console. It needs voice authentication.
Because you're not an employee. It says employees only.
No, wait. Let me guess. Someone who died 200 years ago.
Some egghead named Dr. Hyde. He ran afoul of a group of people that valued the rights of animals just as much as human rights.
Zip it. Fall back.
If that door was still sealed, that means the cyborg couldn't get in either.
Then he's still somewhere in Nuka World. looking for a way into the cloning facility. Sneaky bastard. Could be within a few yards of us right now. Hoping we'll find a way in for him.
Or he moved on.
She's gotten sassier this season.
World is a dead end. Maybe he'll try his luck back in the Commonwealth. Try to sniff out a way to transfer his organic brain into a synth body.
No. He'd rather clone a completely human body. Besides, everyone's been searching for a way into the Institute for years, but no one's figured out how to get in.
There might be an easy way for him to get a synth body. I once visited a secret synth community up in Far Harbor, Maine, a place for runaways from the Institute. Our Vault Dweller cyborg might try there.
I spent more time with him than you did. He's proud of his DNA. He wants to get rid of his synthetic components altogether and be 100% Vault Dweller.
If he's that arrogant, he might want to upgrade to a third-generation synth body. The latest models are arguably superior to humans. In Far Harbor, the synths have a quiet smugness when dealing with humans. The island is covered in a radioactive fog. The synths aren't bothered by it, but the radiation is deadly to humans. Even if someone pops enough Radaway, a snootful of that fog will make a man go wicked crazy right quick. It comes and goes. The people who live there are forced to abandon their settlements as the fog changes each year. When I was there last, it covered just about every part of the island. The humans were crowded into a small section of the docks, while the synths lived in a rather spacious pre-war observatory in the middle of the island. Dima, the rickety old machine who led them, had created a device that would condense the fog out of the atmosphere so that small human communities were safe, but those fog condensers were always in short supply. I suspected that was on purpose. He might have been hedging his bets. You know those Children of Adam kooks?
What? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ran into some of them down south when I came out of the glowing sea.
They're all over the East Coast now. Came pretty far from being just a single weird cult in a backwater hellhole. There's a big group of them in Far Harbor. They thought the fog was a gift to them from their god.
Of course they did.
And the synths had to maintain a balance between the Children of Adam and the saner folk on the docks. I had the feeling that Dima could just wipe out either group anytime he wanted. Seemed like he was a spider sitting in the middle of an electronic web that stretched across that island, and the humans around him were no more than flies to be manipulated to serve the interests of the synths.
It's a cool
I
visual.
can imagine that kind of power would be mighty appealing to our cyborg.
So you want to hike all over half of New England to ambush him when we know he's within a stone's throw of us right now?
What would you do if we caught him, right now?
6 slugs to his... You don't really think he's going to Maine, do you? There's no secret synth community on some island.
The island and the synths are real.
You're trying to lead me away from the cyborg. You don't think I could beat him?
I don't think we can beat him. Last time, in the Capital Wasteland, he took down both of us, along with Daisy, Edna, and Junior.
So you want to let someone
He
else
didn't take
deal
down
with
Daisy.
it? Then you get to live and tell the story another day. I'll kill the cyborg by myself. You're too damned loud anyway.
I know where to get the parts I need to fix Edna and Daisy. And I need your help.
Well, ain't that convenient?
It's not a trick. On my way into Nuka World, I found an abandoned R&D station. They were testing designs for a new attraction at the park, based on some old pre-war comic book series. Had some advanced AI hardware to run the animatronic characters. I grabbed just about everything I'll need to rebuild Edna and most of the components to wire Daisy's brain into a new body. I learned a few things about robotics since we last met. I can make some upgrades, improve our odds against the android when we catch him.
Just about? Most of?
Edna's personality matrix.
Daisy's brain.
You sure she's still alive in there?
You sure Edna's still ticking inside that thing?
The casing's cracked, but the data is intact. No damage to internal components.
I haven't been able to talk to Daisy since I disconnected her from the cybernetics, but she's still alive.
All the AI and cybernetics I scavenged from Nuka World's R&D.
What else do we need?
Robot viscera, and plenty of it. There's a junkyard to the south.
All this talk about the cyborg has got my dander up. How about we mosey over to Galactic Zone and make some fresh robot guts?
I ever tell you about a raider gang called the Rust Devils?
Less talk, more smash.
Attention all
Like
my
how-
favorite undesirables out there. In case you haven't noticed, it looks like we got ourselves some fresh meat to run the gauntlet. Get your ass down to Cola Cars. The main event's about to begin. Remember, longest survival time against Coulter still stands at 1 minute 37 seconds.
You think that DJ is talking about our cyborg? Be a shame if this overboss Coulter killed him before I could get my hands on him.
Nah, probably some dink from Boston who wandered into the overboss's tourist trap.
Disciples, are you ready for blood? At the back, are you ready for things to get royal? Operators, are you ready to see me notch another kill? And you, are you ready to die? Let's do this!
At the end there, was that the android?
I don't know. But
It looked like he had a 13 on the back on his back.
Ah, okay.
And like longer. I mean, he would have had longer hair. Maybe we'd let his hair grow. But I mean, to end it on that shot, I would have to imagine that it's him.
I was fixated on the guy with all the lightning.
Okay.
So
Why are we fixated on him? I mean, because he had a bunch of lightning
I was
coming
gonna
out.
say he's
of him.
electrified, so
there's that.
it's pretty high catchy.
There's that.
No, I was trying to figure out, like, is he the MC of the event or the fighter? Because his
both.
his outfit to me was so intriguing. Like, it has this huge sort of face shield in front, and there's
Yeah.
like a back of the head shield too. The sides were a little bit open. He's electrified head to toe. I mean, it was almost like he was like a ultra souped out, like Master Chief kind of outfit, but with some modifications for some of those things. And I don't know. It was just, he was loud and booming, and that plus the lightning was just, it made me just focus on him. I also felt like I was not ready for the episode to end. So I thought I was waiting for him to like introduce someone. So I was like, oh, what's going to come out? Like, what's next? So I was also really watching him for that reason as well, because I had no concept of how far we were in the episode, and I didn't think we were anywhere near the end, and I was waiting for what was about to come next. We saw pieces of Edna.
Yeah.
And that was Daisy in a jar, right?
Yeah, let's say that was her brain basically. And then it was basically what would be the brain of Edna as well. So they had both of their brains. They called it like a different thing, like for Edna, like her personality, whatever, matrix.
So I'm curious as to what they will be creating for them. I mean, I have a feeling that if Helen had her way, she would create Daisy into the body of a robotic dog. Like I feel, she is in part attached to Daisy because of her being woman's best friend. But I'd be curious to see, like, are we going to see, I don't know, like cyborg Edna? I mean, what is Edna's form going to be? Because I don't think she's going to necessarily continue to be a seeing eye robot.
I don't think so either. I hope not. I hope she just turns into like a Terminator.
Oh, she would love that. I feel like Edna would be like, yes.
Right?
She would be very much on board.
That'd be awesome. But probably not. And they're probably just going to be like the same thing they were, like a gun and a droid.
I don't know. You got to they didn't have a lot of stuff to work with there.
That's true. Let us know what you thought about this down below in the comments. And if you want early ad-free access to our Fallout reactions, and you want to see by this point, probably we've already seen it all. By the time this airs on YouTube. So you can go ahead and check it out, everything on Patreon. The link is in the description of this video. We also have a playlist for all of our Fallout reactions here on YouTube.
Yes, we do.
Thanks so much for checking out our reaction for Fallout Storyteller Season 4, Episode 13 and 14. But just keep in mind
that our reaction is definitely not definitive.